guys? I hope you're all doing well. I'm back with another lesson this week, but I'm throwing a little something different this week. We're going to be checking out the blues. Yeah, the 12-bar blues. It's an awesome genre of music. It's really cool for improvising. I've been having a lot of questions about improvising. So I want to zoom in on the neck here and break down some kind of ideas and noodling, rhythm ideas, soloing strategies that I use in my personal playing. So let's zoom in on, break it on down. Alright guys, so if you've never really been exposed to the blues, I highly recommend you take it out. This is like the foundation and the root of like improvisation based music. There's obviously different styles of music that do that as well, but a lot of blues music is kind of leaked into other genres of music, so jazz, rock type music, metal, all that kind of stuff. So these cool forms and ideas you can take to different types of genres that you're playing in. But let me break down the rhythm part real quick and then we'll talk about the lead part. So the rhythm part that I was playing was just a regular 12-bar blues in the key of E. So we have the 1 chord, our A7 chord, our 4 chord, which would be our D7 or our D9, D13, whatever substitution you want to use, and then our 5 chord, our E chord. So what I was kind of doing is I was doing this kind of shuffle thing. Basically what I'm doing is I'm grabbing an A7 chord, then I'm barring across to get the 5th of that chord. So when I'm in the A7 shape, I stack on the A7 chord, then I'm going to do this little bar with my 3rd finger, like almost like an A chord shape, pretty much just an E chord really, just an E triad, you know, based out of this. Excuse me, a D triad, and then I'm going back to the A chord and then I'm hammering onto the major 3rd. So and then I'm doing that same principle for the 4 chord, so up in the D chord position. Chord, 1 chord. And then you can add any kind of turnaround you want. So whatever kind of turnaround you want to do. But that turnaround that I did right there, basically pretty classic. Stacking my pinky on the high E, on the A note, and then my 3rd finger is going to come over on the 5th fret of the D string, and I'm just walking that down chromatically while also using this as a pedal tone. Alright, so let's talk about some of these licks ideas. So basically we're gonna get really familiar with our A minor pentatonic, our A minor blues scale. So that's our A minor pentatonic, so that's going to be 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. With the blues notes, 5-8, 5-6-7, 5-7, 5-7-8, then 5-8, 5-8. Okay. Now, we also got to get familiar with your A major pentatonic, which lies over that shape. Really, I'm only using the upper extensions of it, so just really get familiar with just this upper part of it. So we're thinking 6, 5, 7, 5, 7. So that's going to overlay in that A minor pentatonic. So A minor pentatonic, A major pentatonic. I'm not really using those lower notes registers, but to complete the full scale, I'm thinking 5, 7, 4, 7, 4, 7, 4, 6, 5, 7, 5, 7. So when you combine those elements, depending on what chord you're over, then you can use both of those aspects. So I'm mixing and mixing the major and the minor pentatonic. But let's talk about some of the lick ideas. So one of the most basic lick ideas for blues is this kind of idea. That's a really cool lick. Basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a slight bar here on the 5th fret of the G, B, and E strings, and I'm hammering on from 5 to 6 on the G. So that's the major 3rd of our A7 chord. So this is a good lick over the 1 chord. And after I hammer on, I'm basically grabbing those two other strings underneath it. So the idea, and then I'm going to the 8th fret of the B string, sliding up to the 10th fret of the B string to get my A note. So putting a little vibrato on there. However you like to do vibrato. I kind of have this B.B. King style vibrato. So whatever your most comfortable way of doing it. And then once I can do that vibrato, I'm gonna go over to the 8th fret of the high E, give it a slight little bend. Not quite to the major third, just a little stank bend. So. So now with the backing track. So that sounds kind of cool, right? Super cool. That works really, really well over the 1 chord. So the other idea that you can think about using is using these double stop ideas. So this is kind of like a Chuck Berry thing where you go. So the same kind of idea in that zone, but now I'm doing this double stop. So just on the B and E string. And what I'm doing now, jumping over to the 7th fret of the D string, and then hammering on from that 5 to 6 on the G. So. I mean, he does that in you get that idea all from Chuck Berry, like Johnny B. Good. Now, so that so far has just been dealing with the minor pentatonic. But then adding in this major third. Now, a really cool lick that I like to do is I like to mess around with the major pentatonic a lot. So a really cool position, which is what we call the BB box, is up here on the 10th and 12th fret. We basically have this shape, 11 on the G, 10 on the B, and 10 on the high, or 10 on the B, and 12 on the B, and then 12 on the E, and 12 on the E. So this shape. And I really like to get into this zone. That's a lick that I do a lot. B.B. King does it a lot. Basically what I'm doing is I'm going 11, bending up to the major third, so the C sharp, on the 12th fret of the B, so bend that up, and then I'm going to go 10, 11, 12 on the high E, then bend that up again, and then put some vibrato on that A. So super, super tasty lick. There's another lick by B.B. King where you just go up to the root note of whatever key you're in and slide it down. So basically the 17th fret of the high E, slide that down. Kind of rake the other strings while you're doing it. So all the licks so far. And then this one. Now there's this lick that I was doing earlier. That's a super, super cool B.B. King lick too. So basically I'm still dealing with mixing the major and the minor pentatonic, but now just in an upper position here. So I'm gonna go to the 10th fret on the D string, and I'm gonna hammer up from 10 to 11 on the D string. That's like our major third that we played down here. Just a different spot to play it. And then I'm gonna jump over to the 9th on the G, and then I'm gonna go to the 11th on the G, and then I'm gonna jump over and grab this high A, the 10th fret of the B. So give that a couple vibratos, a little play there. Then I'm gonna go up to the minor third, so the 13th fret of the B, give that a little tug. I don't wanna get the major third, I just give it a little tug. So This is super cool. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my pinky, go to the 14th fret of the high E, which is our F sharp here, grab that, and then come back over, grab the minor third with our third finger on the 13th fret of the B string, and then back to the 10th fret of the B string to finish on the root. So that is a super, super cool lick. So you play that over. That's a super, super cool, like dealing with the minor notes and then the major notes. So all together. And then this one. Super, super cool. Now, so I want to show you, like, that's pretty much all dealing with just the 1 chord, right? So those are licks all over the 1 chord. Now I want to talk about licks over the 4 chord. So, if we think about this D7 shape, we're trying to target the notes within the chord, right? So you kind of want to do almost like we're doing an arpeggio. Right? But we want to keep it all in this realm of the fretboard. So the notes that we want to target are really those notes there. So a really cool lick that I was doing earlier, that's dealing with notes specifically over the 4 chord. And what I'm doing is I'm hammering up from the 5 to the 8 on the high E and doing this pull off, and while doing that I'm coming over to grab the 7th on the B string. And those are notes that are specifically out of it. If we play that D7 chord, look, my pinky's right on that note, right? So I'm playing the 5th of that chord, the 7th of that chord, and then the major third of that chord. And then the root of that chord would be right here, the 7th fret of the G string. So that's a super cool lick. So in context, and then to finish that off, when it's about to switch, you can just walk down, then grab and end on that. So, right? So, super, super tasty. Now, it's cool, if you're already in this position, you can also do this with the 1 chord. You just have to slide your pinky up to get the 9th fret. So you have to do a little bit of a stretch here. But now that's root, major third, and flat 7 for the 1 chord. So if you're between those chords, and that's all right in that tasty little zone. Now let's talk about the 5 chord. So if we're thinking about the shapes of the 5 chord, there's our E7 there. We want to target these notes. Right, so here would be our flat 7, here would be our roots, here would be our major third. So what I'm kind of thinking about is I'm just doing like this little basic shape here. So if you've never seen this, this is kind of like a D7 shape up here. You're used to seeing it down here, but it's up here. So I'm thinking 2nd finger on the A string of the 7th fret. Your 1st finger is going to go on the 6th string, or excuse me, the 6th fret of the D string, and then your 3rd finger is going to come over on the 3rd fret, or excuse me, the 3rd string of the 7th fret. And I'm targeting those notes. So when I'm on that chord, you can just go straight up and down with that. So you just want to play around with those notes, right? Play the notes in between. Bam, right there. So let's kind of loop through all the licks so far. So this one. Then this one. Then this one. Then we have these double stop ideas. Then we talked about playing this one. Super, super cool. Alright, so I want to leave you with one little lick here, and this is another turnaround lick, which I really, really like this. I use this a lot. It's like a counterpointal, which if you're not familiar with counterpoint is when you have two independent melodies that are going in the opposite direction. So you have a melody that's going this way and a melody that's going this way. If you're familiar with Johann Sebastian Bach, he did this a lot. If you know a Bourrée in E minor, that's a perfect example. But there's this really, really cool turnaround leg. So notice how each of those lines are going in a different spot. Basically what I'm doing is I'm playing this all on just the high and low E strings. I'm going to do a bar at the 5th fret, and then I'm going to go to this is a little bit of a long shape, but I'm going to go 4 on the A string, and I'm going to go 8 on the B string. So slide that in, so now I'm on 5 and 7 on A and B, and then 6 on A and B. And then this is you can either substitute this with a 5 chord, but this is an E augmented chord. Basically I'm going 5 on the A string, 6 on the D string, and then doing this little bar on the G and B strings on the 5th fret. So that's the idea with that. So all the licks all together. Then this one. Then this one. And then we have the double stops ideas. Then we have this idea over the 4 chord. Then you can also do this for the 5 chord, or the 6 chord. The 1 chord, I mean, my bad, jeez oh Pete. And then we have this over the 5 chord. We have this turnaround lick that I showed you in the beginning. And then we have this one. What's really cool is when you're on this chord, you can add harmonics to it. Super cool, right? Alright guys, that was the video. I hope you liked it. Make sure you check all my links down in the description. Check out the other videos on the channel. I have a lot of different things on the channel that can really help benefit you playing. And I'll catch you in the next lesson.